Hello, folks. This is Rebecca Adams, and I have a wagging tail in the background. I am dog sitting. So I have not only this little lady with us tonight, I also have Becky Vermeire with me.
Hello.
We heard it. Yes. Very good, Mrs. Doubtfire.
It was very subdued, though.
I know, but at least we heard it, Becky. That's all right.
Okay. All right, there you go. Well, I said it.
And then we have a very special guest with us tonight. We have Ruth, who is telling her story. So she's partway through her story. This is episode 2, and we're going to get that started here in just a minute. But I think maybe Miss Becky might have a pair of socks to show us.
I do, as a matter of fact.
Do
One
you?
of my favorite pairs of socks. These socks say you're killing my vibe. So I tend to pride myself on being a positive person. If I'm around somebody who's not positive, they're killing my vibe. So I gotta let them know. Gotta let them know.
Yeah.
What about you? You got a special pair of earrings on tonight?
I do. I just got these earrings. What do you think I paid for them?
$5.
How did you know? Almost every pair of earrings I show you are $5. You know my favorite color is purple.
Yes. Oh,
and
yeah.
Not showing up very well. It's a real dark purple. They're kind of showing.
I see it. They're pretty.
Yeah, aren't
blue,
they?
They look blue and the light hits them a certain way. They look blue.
I know, but they really are a deep
Purple.
Yeah, they're just a beautiful shade.
Well, that'd be a good name for a band.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're so good. You're so unpredictable. So these are made out of a really very light wood. I would imagine probably.
Oh, it's wood.
I don't know. Yeah, they're wood. Well, it's so funny. You know, my dog likes to chew wood. She's chewed on 2 pieces of furniture here.
Oh my.
Yeah. And so when she wanted to see all these earrings that I had gotten, they came in the mail, and the plastic crinkled. And so she was very, very curious. You know, and so when I showed her these, I took them out and she went,
oh no.
But she was so gentle. She just barely put them in her mouth. And I said, no, you can't have those. And so she would pull back and she'd look at it again and she'd go to sniff it. And she'd go. I said, honey, they're not a toy for you.
Just testing to see if they're real.
Yeah. What I told her, I said, there's no anthrax in this box. I know it. Everything's all right. Mama's okay. You know, that was the funniest thing to see. And she was so gentle. No, she's a pit mix. So you expect him to practically eat the earring in one bite, which
yeah, mine is too. She's a pit mix.
Is she? Okay. I couldn't remember what you said yours was. So yeah,
pointy pit.
Yeah. So it was pretty amazing that she was so gentle with it. But yeah, I love these earrings, obviously.
They're beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you. So where were we on your story, Ruth? You went to court over the guy that had tried to kill you.
Right. It was almost 5 years before we got to court. By that time I had almost forgotten all about it. I was able to sleep at night. My life just went on as normal. But I did get what did they call it? I think they call it the vine. When you're a victim, you get put on, if you can request to be put on the vine. And that way you know every move that he makes. If they move him from one prison to another, if he goes for what do you call it? When he goes for hearings or anything like that, I would know about it. It would come in a letter. So, you know, and I would get to know when he would get out. Now that's just getting ahead of the story though, because we're going to court. After a deposition that I did for his attorneys, and he had public defenders. Um, and well, one was really nice. You know, it was like good cop, bad cop. So there was one attorney that was just gentle, just a gentleman, and I really liked him. But the other was a female, and she was one of those that will fight you. Now, working in the court like I have, I know one thing: you don't try to argue with them. They have their own agenda, and all you need to do is just answer the questions. Don't add to it. Don't take anything away. So the lady, the bad cop is what I call her. She's although she was a defense attorney, she kept trying to trip me up with my story. So when I got to the part where I'm telling the jury, you know, that what stopped him from stabbing me was the fact that I had put my foot was up in the crook of his arm. And so she tried to play on the fact that I was a little heavier and a little older. And how are you going to get your foot up that high over a console? So I actually had to, I didn't have to, but I wanted to. I sat back in my witness chair and I put my foot up with my hand. I was holding my foot up. And then I let go, so she had to let that part go. Find something else to pick on. But every now and then I would peek over at the jury, and there was some little old ladies over there, and they were really mean mugging him. Okay. Like, oh, like they had already made up their mind. But anyway, as they were telling the story, because I didn't care how it went. I just wanted my story told, and that was all. The prosecutor, he had it in his, you know, he's got everything he needs to know, and I'm not trying to say anything else. I'll let them do their job. But at halftime, when I say halftime, they were on a recess, and they wanted to show my scar on my stomach. So even after 4.5 years, it still was pretty ugly. And in this little stab marks, you could still see them too. So while we were on recess, and the panel, we call them panels in the military, the panel was not in the room at the time. They had me go up to the judge, and they wouldn't let the accused, they wouldn't let him see. He had to stay at the table. And I went up to the judge with the trial counsel, the prosecutor, and I had to lift my shirt up and let the judge see. And the defense counsel, the man that I liked him, he looked pained. He looked sympathetic and pained. Like, wow. I mean, I'm really defending a weasel here. Anyway, that's what I thought. But anyway, so they decided they weren't going to do that, you know, bring that part in, because they had pictures. And one thing they had to bring out, the prosecutor brought out my uniform that I hadn't seen since before he stabbed me. So, because like I said, you know, I was driving and I wasn't allowed, while he was driving, I was not allowed to look over at him or look him in the eye at all. Just deep inside said, don't stay calm. Don't look at him. Don't argue with him. Just don't, you know, let him talk. Agree. And so they brought my uniform out in a bag, and they put on plastic gloves, the rubber gloves, and it was in a paper bag because it was biohazard. As a matter of fact, my friend, and she was ex-cop, so she knew about biohazards, and until they brought the uniform out and they brought the pictures out, so I got to see what my car looked like. It was terrible. And they fixed it, you know, they had it fixed and everything. But my uniform, now that took me back, and it was really kind of painful, and it made me emotional when I looked at it, because it was ragged. It was torn. Like I said, I didn't feel anything. With all that action going on and all that adrenaline going, I did not feel him stabbing me. And I could see all the holes, and I'm thinking, this uniform is probably what saved my life. And the fact that he had a little knife, but it was still sticking me and hurting me. And so it was unusable anymore. It was just ragged where he had been stabbing me. Um, so I had to go to the court about 3 times, and I didn't want to stay any longer. I did. They didn't need me anymore. I got to meet the two. It was two policemen in green uniforms. I got to meet both of them, and they told their part of the story and everything. But I said I don't care. So they wanted me to talk to the judge, or do they have anything I wanted to say to him? I said, no. They said, you can write it. And that's what I did. I told the judge, I trust that you will do what you need to do. I'm not asking for anything. I leave that up to you. And I told him, yes, I lost sleep. I had nightmares. I was afraid a lot, especially when I found out that he got out. Mm-hmm. This was after prison. That's another story. That's another story. But he did get 20 years. But he didn't do 20. Okay. He was charged and convicted, and he got 20 years. And then I didn't see him anymore. But I kept getting the letters and telling me what was going on with him, if he was going before a parole board or anything like that. If I wanted to show up at those, and I didn't want anything else to do with it. I just want to forget about it. But that wasn't to be, because I actually had to see him again. I didn't have to, but I did. I actually saw him in the hospital where I have to go, because I'm a veteran and he's a veteran. It's like, when I told him I don't want to come there, I know he's there, but they won't tell me, that's personal, and they can't tell you, yes, he comes here. But I figured it, and they kind of let me know in uncertain terms, well, you could go, we could send you to the other VA. And that made me mad. It's like, why? I'm the victim. I'm the victim here. Why should I leave and go to another one? Why can't you all send him to another one? But yeah, I did run into him. I ran into him in the hallway at the VA, and he was coming toward me. And I tried to find a way to get out of that hallway. And I saw another hallway that I tried to duck down, but there was no way out. And I thought, well, maybe if I go back out to that main hallway, maybe I could get out quicker, But by the time I got back up to that entranceway, he was right there. And our eyes met, and he had this smile like, hi, like, he didn't speak, but that's the look that he had on his face, like he was so glad to see me. And how you doing? I'm thinking, you really are sick. That's what I thought, but I actually, as a Christian, I had to forgive him so I could move on. I know that he was a sick man, but I couldn't say that in court. I had to let them do their job. Because if I said, oh, he's a sick man or anything like that, that would have gave the defense something, But so they did what they needed to do, but he got out after 11 years because he signed up for a program. And so, but he was back up there at the VA and doing this program. And that's when I ran into him again. And then at first they had the VA police walking me to my appointments. And then I just and then they seemed like they were tired of that every time I had to go. And I said, oh, forget it. I'll go myself. I was angry. I was angry by that time. They wouldn't send him anywhere. They wouldn't, I didn't want to have to deal with the VA police anymore or anything. So eventually I didn't, he was around the city because my daughter saw him, and my granddaughters saw him at a gas station. She came home and she said, guess who I saw at the gas station? And I said, no. She goes, yeah. She said, he waved at me like it was no problem. And she's like, you tried to kill my mother. She didn't say anything to him, right. But she didn't wave back at him or anything. And she was thinking, you tried to kill my mother and you're trying to speak to me. So you never know where they are. Nowadays, there's just so many mentally disturbed people and you never know what brings them to that point. But the thing that I can say about being stabbed is the one thing that saved me is I stayed calm because I was told to stay calm. I stay in that bottle. And don't look at him. Don't disturb him. Leave him alone. I will take care of you. That's what I knew. I felt like God was taking care of me, and He did, and He did. Um, and so that's my advice to anybody when you're trapped like that. Don't You can't fix them. You can't fix them if they've got a problem, and you're to the point where it becomes violent. I just say try to leave. Try to leave the best way that you learn how to do it. Try to do it safely, and try to let somebody know what you're going through. Sometimes it helps if somebody else knows. You know, Nobody knew about all the stuff that he has ever done to me, and because I put up with a lot with him. He got away with so much. Stealing out of my purse, stealing my card, and then putting it back like, oh, look, it's behind the sofa, that type of thing. But I'm just grateful to be alive. I'm just grateful. And so my advice is stay calm. Don't upset them. Don't argue. None of that.
Mm.
No. So I appreciate you letting me tell my story.
Absolutely. Becky, what kind of thoughts do you have after hearing that?
Well, I've got a few questions that I've written down as you were talking, and so with your permission, we might have to go back to the beginning of your story if that's okay with you. But there's just
Sure.
some bullet points that you said that I wanted to kind of hear more from you on.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go right back to the beginning.
Okay.
Because as you were introducing your story, one of the things I heard you say was there was all kinds of signals and warnings. And so we're very much about providing education and helping people understand what is a signal and a warning. And so in your particular circumstance, when you say there was all kinds of signals and warnings, could you expound on that a little bit? Give us some examples if you would, please.
Okay, but let's start with my background and his background. I was a working woman. I worked in the legal field, and he was obviously doing things out there. Like I said, I never saw him take drugs or anything, but he would disappear, and he'd come back and he'd be just out of it, sleep. I don't mean that same day, maybe days later. But I didn't. I did I kick him out once? I think I did, but he came back. My sister at one time, she was all in his face trying to make him leave. They hated each other. But some of the other things is like he didn't work. And he took the car. I had a rental car one time, and I had to pick him up from the station because what was it? I picked him up from it wasn't the train station, it was a bus station. And because he had been down to Georgia, he went to Georgia with me because I had to go there for business, as a court reporter. They had a seminar and I had to go, and he went with me, and he had a sister down there. So I was hoping I could just leave him there. just leave him there. He said, okay, he's going to stay. I said, okay, fine. And I went home without him. And I felt so much better that he wasn't there. But then he came back. Oh, no. So he asked me to come and get him, and I guess I could have not picked him up, but I think he still would have. It wasn't over. It just wasn't over. For me, I wanted to get away from him. I didn't want him in my life anymore, but it was just me being soft-hearted and thinking there's got to be an easier way for me to get him to not want to come around me anymore. So, but anyway, I had a rental car, and I picked him up. I said, I got to go back to work though. I got to work about another hour, and then I'll be out. And it was so cold out there, and he sat in the car. I said, okay, look, I've only got to be in here a little while, and I'll keep the heat on for you. And when I came out, he was gone. He was gone. The rental car was gone. And it was like, what am I going to tell these rental car people? He never did bring it back. They had to go find it. And I must tell you, that was a mess. He messed up my whole life just because of it. Well, I gave in to him with so many things that he did, and it's like, you don't have a job, Well, he didn't have a job because he didn't have the wherewithal. All of this I found out later. When you ask me, how did I know that yeah, he can't keep a job, and he's on all these, he had a grocery bag from the hospital that he drug around and never used any of that medicine. And I think that's what took him back. That's what made him violent. But the fact is, he had it in him anyway. He must have had that violence in him anyway. He had a bad history and all of that. So, yeah, just something to think. He didn't match my life. We were unequally yoked for sure.
So did he mess up your credit score because he messed up the car, the rental
Yeah,
car?
well, yeah, there was a lot of things. There was a whole lot of things that he messed up. Um, and I was always able to bounce back and fix it. But it got to the point where it's like, I had to move. At one point I had to move. His paranoia was just killing me. We got to move. Look, you see them put cameras up? And I'm going, yeah, they do have cameras up on the corner now, and he was just paranoid. So I thought, well, maybe I need to move anyway, because I just needed a bigger place. And I did, but I didn't get to stay long because he was supposed to get a job and help me with the rent. No, that didn't happen. So I struggled trying to pull him up where I was. You know what I'm saying? He was not equal to me. And I don't mean that in trying to be snippety or anything like that. I'm just saying he was down here socially. And I was up here. Like I said, I had a life. I had a job. I had a church. I had people, I had all these things going for me. I had a family, and he had none of that. And he was always hiding. If my daughter was coming, he'd have to hide. That type of thing. He had to leave. He couldn't be there because my daughter my sister and my daughter, they did not like him. He was there when I found out I had a brain tumor. Which was actually a few months after I'd met him. And we went to the hospital and I was told I had a brain tumor. And he went with me, my family, my sister and my daughter came for that, but they didn't get up in time to go with me to the hospital, and he went. And they were so mad because I didn't wake them up. It's like, I don't want to wake them up to travel anyway. So yeah, I I was protecting him. There was a way that I was protecting him. I didn't let them know what a weasel he was. But because this town is a small town and people would see him out, and somebody asked my daughter, one of her friends that she ran into again, she doesn't even live here anymore, but she said, "What is your mother doing with that boofer?" And I said, "What's a boofer?" I guess it means drug addict. I don't know, because like I said, I never saw him do anything, but evidently people in the streets did. I don't hang in the streets. I don't know. I don't do gossip or anything like that. So I don't know. So my daughter comes home and she knows all about it. It's like, okay, all right. But they just really tried to keep hands off and try to let me handle things. And so my daughter still to this day asks me, have you seen him anymore? She'll say him. Have you seen him anymore? No. The last time I saw him, I had to go to the VA. I don't like the neighborhood. I just don't like going there. And he was there's some homeless people that hang out under the underpass as you're coming off the highway, and they're right there begging. And he wasn't begging, but he was down there. And he looked like he was talking on a cell phone. He didn't see me. And I thought, I have got to find another way to. The doctor that I see there, she's somewhere else, so I don't have to go there anymore.
Good.
Yeah, I don't have to go there anymore. But I just don't. I really don't want to see him anymore. I put all that behind me, and because he still thinks it's okay to say hi, how you doing? It's like, oh no, I really don't want to, because he's a sick person. But I don't know. It's been a long time now since I've seen him. Oh,
That's good because he knows where you live.
he doesn't know I'm here, not in this place. And he doesn't know I've retired. He doesn't know any of that. So he knew all about where I worked and everything. But you know, you just can't get on post anymore either. A lot has changed since I first met him. You know, you got to have a lot of things to get on post anymore. And so he can't just get on post. And he's not going to get a job on post, that's for sure.
No.
So yeah, I'm not. Everybody said, you need to get a gun, you need to get a gun. When I first found out, I told the judge that I worked for, that I was a civilian court reporter working in the military. So I told the judge, because we were close, and I told him everything. I said, oh no, he's out. I said, everybody wants me to get a gun. And he said, well, I tell you what, you get a scatter gun. He said, that way when you shoot, it just scatters, you're bound to hit him. I thought, okay. And then my boss, she was a trial counsel. She said, get a can of Hornet spray. And she said, you can shoot him in the eye from way across the room. I said, okay. So I actually went to the PX to buy a gun, or at least look at them. And I was telling the guy what I wanted it for. And I said, no, I need something I can hold. He said, well, yeah, this one right here. If you get that, you'll have to shoot him like 3 times and try to hit him right here. Oh, no. I don't want to do any of that. I thought, well, okay, if I had to do something, I'll get the Hornet spray. But but yeah, you just really need to be aware of your surroundings. And I am now, but it's like I'm not afraid of him anymore. I don't know if it's just been too many years. I've had time to kick it over my head over and over. And I don't mind telling my story. I don't mind telling this story because, okay, as a victim, well, what made you a victim? Why didn't you make him leave? Well, there's a lot of reasons I didn't. You know, at first I loved him, or I thought I did. And then things just started going downhill. So, this man doesn't care about me. He doesn't care. So, you know, he's putting me in all these bad positions. He took the rental car. He's doing this and he's doing just making me look bad. So I really didn't want to. They tried to bring that up in court too. His defense counsel. He said, is it true? This is the lady answer. Is it true that you said that you were embarrassed to be with him? I said, yes. And what did you expect me to say? Actually, yes, I was embarrassed. People wonder, what are you doing with him? You know? So, and I don't want people to think I do whatever it is he's doing out there. That's not me, you know? Guilt by association? No, I don't want to be associated with them.
Yeah.
You know, so. But, yeah.
Another thing that you said when you were talking about signals and warnings, and you did begin a second ago, is you, the expression, I gave in to him so many times. And so I want to explore that a little bit, because there's a part of someone who's a victim, specifically of domestic violence, that they will take ownership for the abuser's behavior. And so people who are abusers, and you can't say no to an abuser. And we have a technical term for that. We call it coercive control. To where it's, I'm going to pout, or I'm going to belittle, or I'm going to nag, or I'm going to do whatever. And it wears us down till we get to that point where, like, you know what? Yes, let's just do it. And so the outside world could look at that and be like, what'd you give in to him for? And so they will put a negative spin on that. But I just wanted to bring up that point a little bit, because would you agree that in your situation, that's what was going on, is he was just poking and poking and poking and poking and poking?
I could say yes, but the fact is, my whole life, I've been the peacekeeper. And I don't want everybody out there to know that I'm with a nut in here. You know, I'm just trying to keep it quiet. I'm just trying to maybe get him to become a normal person, you know, and that's where it comes in, where you think you can fix them.
Yeah.
And you cannot fix them. Now, he didn't nag so much, but I just didn't want to cause a scene. I never did. He got away with a lot because it's like, okay, fine, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then you made a statement that made me raise my eyebrow earlier when you were telling your story. And so I'd like you to explain that a little bit, because at one point when you were talking about the beginnings of your relationship and even a little bit further on, before you started to tell us about that incident in the car, you made a statement that said he was gentle and he never raised a hand to me. Was that the dynamic of your relationship?
Yes, and he never had to go there. He never had to get any, you know what I'm saying? Because I was
Yeah.
always appeasing him. I was
Uh-huh.
always, you know, kind of soothing him in a way, not causing any, because he was paranoid, and it was getting worse over time, and I could actually tell you some stories about it that I thought he was joking, but no, nothing seemed more real than when he pulled that knife out. But
Right.
there was a lot of things he would call me to the window and say, "Look, see, they're down there, they're watching this," and I'm thinking, who's watching? And I just went along with him. I just wouldn't. I didn't say, "There's nobody out," because he really thought there was somebody out there. And he thought, "Oh, wait a minute, this is a good one." He thought I snuck out in the middle of the night, and and while he was sleeping, I said, "Honey, I didn't sneak anywhere. I haven't been anywhere." And I just couldn't convince him. It's like, I got to go to work. I can't stand here with this man, and he's getting ready to go off. I stood at the window, and it was cold. There was frost on the car. I said, if I had been gone, would there still be frost on the car?
Right.
He dropped that and never said anything else about that. But he was still paranoid. He would talk to me on my cell phone all the way to work. As I'm going to work, he talked to me the whole way, and it was just hard. It was hard to get. Like I said, he was getting worse and worse, and I just didn't know how to get away from him. Not completely. I could have called the police and said, "Look, can you just come and get this man out of my house?" But I think some women are afraid he's going to get out. He's going to come. Yes, that's the same fear I have. He's going to come back here, and then what? I never gave him any reason to get angry with me like that. I don't even remember him yelling much. I think he yelled one time when he's trying to get his point across, and he talked about a sandwich shop he wanted to open. I said, okay. So I went along with this over and over again. What about this kind of sandwich? That. Yeah, that sounds good. But would you eat that? How much would you? I wasn't interested, but I just kept quiet because he just needed to be left alone. But yeah, so that when I say he got away with so much, it was so many. I know any other person would have laid the hammer down and said, "Look, shut up," or something, But that really would have set him off. I do believe that. I do believe he's a violent person anyway. Not that I ever saw it personally, but just some of the stories he told me. And why are you in the street? He didn't mind being in the street. But he went missing for like a whole year. I was very relaxed. I was very comfortable and relaxed. And then he showed up again, and I thought I was through with him. And then there he was again. And then it's like, okay, you let him back in. I was angry with myself. You let him back in. Not that I wanted to have a relationship with him or anything, but I guess I wanted to know, did you get any better while you were out there? Or did you because he would go back up to get help at the VA. And I don't know why. Maybe he got tired of walking the street. Maybe couldn't find any drugs. I don't know. But he would always check himself back in, So his problem, I hate to say is forever, but I don't know. I can't say for sure. But you can't fix them.
No,
No.
you definitely can. And that's the thing is, what we know about domestic violence is there are abusers who are horrific abusers that never put a hand on their victim. And so you saying he was gentle and never raised a hand makes me think he's got all of these other things that he's doing. So there's all kinds of tactics of people who are abusive. An abuser only raises a hand if they have to.
Mm-hmm.
If they're
Yeah.
really good
So he never
at
had
grabbing
to.
that control and taking over your life, because that's their goal, is to take
Mhm.
over your life and have all the power and control over it. If they're really good at that, they never have to raise a hand. There's that threat. Let me ask you this: like during the time in your relationship, would you ever consider yourself afraid of him?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think to an extent, a certain extent, I was.
Yeah.
If he drank, now he did drink. If he got
Mhm.
drunk, then I was really like, oh geez, because I had alcoholics all through my family. My
Mhm.
dad was an alcoholic, but he didn't stumble or anything like that. He was a functional alcoholic,
Yeah.
you know. But he, yeah, he got drunk before. He has done some things that I could never tell my daughter he did, just because it would just make her angrier at him. And it's like, no, I made it. I'm fine. Let's not go back there. So
Yeah.
yeah, when he drank, I just really did go into a shell and not say much to him.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I just wanted to mention that statement that you had made because somebody listening to your story may hear
Mm-hmm.
that and say, well, that doesn't make sense at all. But it makes perfect sense to me, and that's why I wanted to bring it out. And
Mm-hmm.
again, not to be redundant, but being so anyway, it's that coercive control that's going
Mm-hmm.
on the entire time in the relationship. And so even to know that you were afraid of him, you could even say, I was afraid of him, but I can't tell you exactly why.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that I was, because we have that little inner voice inside of us that warns us about things.
Uh-huh.
And so
Yeah.
I think that was your wisdom kicking in. There was a good reason you were afraid of him.
Yeah. He was like from, how can I put this? The wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
So when you're from the wrong side of the tracks, the living is hard.
Yeah.
And they go through things and they're desperate people. I call them desperate people. And so here I was with this desperate person and
Yeah.
no telling what all he was capable of. I know he told me some stories and things. And so I would just go, wow, really? That happened? So he told me some stories and I'm thinking he could have really done those things, but I didn't want to see.
Right.
And that was a warning too. Oh, I know what was so funny. My daughter was with me at one time when she had come to visit, and we were watching TV, and he was watching TV too. And he was rooting for the bad guys. My daughter and I, my, my daughter and I looked at each other like, are you serious? One of the bad guys. And he was serious. He was like, run, get away. It's like, oh my gosh, what have I got here?
Mm-hmm.
But I had to always it was stressful because I was always trying to show my daughter I'm okay. I'm okay. I just haven't worked my way out of this yet. And I didn't tell her I was trying to get out of it because then she would really worry. She's real smart. She's real intuitive. She can read people. She's one of those people magnets. So it's just something special. I guess that's her gift. But yeah, she was always worried about me. I just didn't want anybody to worry about me. So so when I got stabbed, I thought, oh Lord, Sergeant Major's going to kill me because I didn't show back up.
Well, hopefully Sergeant Major understood that
She did. As
you
a
had
matter of fact,
something else going on.
she was the one that drove my biohazard car away from the police lot because it was starting to cost me money. And they went hurt the sergeant major and my friend. They used to be a police officer, but my sergeant major actually drove the car to where it needed to go to be. Well, no, it was in her driveway until somebody came in with a wrecker and took it to the place. And that's like, well, you guys are so sweet. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have some stories, I tell you.
You
But
had some people watching out for you. Well, I tell you
yeah.
what, our half hour is over for this segment. And So what we're going to do is we're going to stop for now. And if you can hang tight, we'll pick it back up again in just a little bit.
Okay,
That work for you?
that's fine. Oh, yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
All right. Well, folks, we want to let you know what the International Hand Signal for Help is. This is something that I don't think was around when Ruth was going through her stuff, and I know it wasn't around when I was going through mine. But this is the hand signal for help. You put your palm out like this, you fold in your thumb, and then you entrap your thumb with your fingers so that the thumb can't move. And you can do that over and over again, or you might only have time to do it once. But if you see somebody do that hand signal, then you want to do what you can, see what you can do to help them out. Call the police, maybe engage them in a conversation if possible, and get them away from their abuser, whatever you think you can do to help them out. But we like to educate you with that. We also want to let you know, sorry, I have a dog here. We also want to let you know that no matter where you are in the process, you are always free to soar.